Good morning, I think, Commissioners. Maria Cahill with the Planning Division. This is the LPA adoption hearing for the small-scale amendments, and your recommendation will tentatively go to the March 26th BCC, Board of County Commissioners. Next slide, please. So the applicant is Gary and Janet Mazzinegro, and the owner, Muzzy Holdings LLC. The request is to go to Rural Settlement 1 to 5, to Rural Settlement 1 to 2, 1 unit per 2 acres. Since transmittal of your report, the applicant, and due to many of the concerns raised with the commercial portion of the development, has drawn commercial rural settlement request. And with that withdrawal, the rezoning request is also withdrawn. So the request as it stands would be just to go to rural settlement 1 unit per 2 acres. It would allow for a lot split for a total of 2 single-family homes. Next slide. It's located in District 1 on the west side of Avalon Road at the intersection of Phillips C. Phillips C. Peters Road. Next slide. So you can see here the aerial. The subject property is shown in the white hatched line. North are 2 single-family homes and some vacant property. To the west is another single-family home. To the south are vacant properties. To the east is a water treatment facility. It's designated village on the future land use map and institutional uses. The yellow line shows the boundary of the Lake Avalon Rural Settlement in this area. Next slide. So here is your future land use map. As you can see, there are several rural settlement designations in the area, including to the north, Rural Settlement 1 to 1, which allows 1 unit per acre. To the west, 1 unit per 2 acres. To the south, 1 unit per 2 acres. And then the village designation allows 1 unit per 10 acres, but as I previously said, it is a water treatment facility and is part of the larger institutional use. The next slide, please. So the request is to go to 1 unit per 2 acres. Next slide. And the current zoning is A1, Citrus Rural District. Next slide. So this is an area, a future land use of the rural settlement overall. So as you can see, the olive green is the predominant designation in the rural settlement of 1 unit per 5 acres. And then you can see as well that the policies in the plan do allow some rural settlement 1 to 1 and rural settlement 1 to 2. You can see the location of those parcels clearly here. They're the lighter shade greens, with the 1 to 1 being the lightest, brightest green, and then the 1 to 2. You can see that this property is surrounded on 3 sides by similar densities as the request is envisioned. Next slide. This is again the aerial before the recommendation. Staff believes that overall it's compatible. The request is compatible, and because of the unique situation, this one case in particular, that it would not create a precedent in allowing this use to allow a single lot split for 2 units. We did have a community meeting. That community meeting occurred in October of 2022. There was quite a bit of opposition to the request at that time, and since release of the public notices, we mailed out 626 public notices. We have received about 50 responses in opposition. The majority of the opposition was initially to the commercial portion of the request. I have received continuing opposition. About 20 folks have contacted me that they're still concerned with the request to go to 1 to 2. And we did get some who were not opposed to the 1 to 2. About 5 of those said that they felt that it was not a concern to go to 1 to 2. Next slide. So with that, staff is recommending that you recommend adoption to the Board of County Commissioners of the Rural Settlement 1 to 2 for the entire parcel. That would allow one lot split and on the property. Thank you. And with that, Mr. Muzinegro is here. Thank you.
I just, real quickly, I need to recuse myself from this particular case. Gary's a client of my firm, so just want to make that known now.
Hello, my name is Gary Muznegro. I live at 1574 Sweet Manor Boulevard, or Sweet Manor Drive, rather, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Thank you, Maria, for the work towards that, and thank you for any community members that are here to speak. We plan to live at the property. The reason for the lot split or the withdrawal of the commercial is due to the community's opposition, and we feel that their concerns were valid in that commercial rezoning, and that is why we've since removed it. And we are looking to move forward with the change to RS12, given that we will be we are the only 1.5 locked around a higher density of 1.1 and 1.2 surrounding us. So we think we comply with that, along with the rural settlement will still be predominantly 1.5 as you saw on the map. And so we do not feel that it would violate any of those concerns. And so that's all I have to say.
So you're just going to build 2 residences if you split the
Correct. Well, so I'm going to personally reside on the northern residence, and we are going to we're going to split this bottom 2 acres, and we may just sell that as raw land, or or it's kind of undisclosed. We don't have any current plans for the next 5 years to do anything with it outside of having land and potentially using it for farming purposes in the immediate future.
Okay. Thank you. I now open the public section of this hearing for public comments. Jason, have we received any speaker cards?
We have 11 speaker cards.
What? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Would you like to provide 3 minutes for each? Or
I mean, just to clarify, let's just clarify the fact that the builder, right, the owner, he already withdrew the commercial portion, so that's not going to move forward. So I just want to make sure that if you speak, whoever is going to speak is going to speak only on the fact that it's going to be only split and nothing else. They're not building anything else in there. So,
right. So we'll start with Maria Estella Casanova Baker.
okay.
And this is going to be followed by Mark Mansfield.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria Estella Casanova Baker. I live in 16112 Sand Hill Road, Winter Garden, 34787, yes. I am in full opposition to any 5-acre split request to our rural settlement. There are huge implications to this approval. It will set a very dangerous precedent to our way of life. The domino effect will be detrimental to our settlement. How would you feel if you were promised the protection of your little piece of heaven in which you can live with ease? Then have that promise broken, like pulling that rug from right underneath you, leaving you vulnerable to the whim of others encroaching upon your tranquility. That is exactly what this request will do to our rural settlement. Orange County made this commitment to us. That's why I bought that piece of heaven in there, so I can have that peace of mind, knowing that I have what I call my little bubble That's what I call it. That's my bubble. That's why I moved there. Rural settlements residents are some of the most loyal and devoted taxpayers in our county. We will continue to protect what was promised to us. Just thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Mark Mansfield.
Good morning, good afternoon, I don't know what time it is. I'm Mark Mansfield, resident at 16362 Sand Hill Road, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Something that hasn't been considered here or mentioned, besides the fact that this is going against agreements made between the county and rural settlement 20 years ago, is the fact that Avalon Road in this area is going to be widened sometime in the future. And the plan is to go with a 4-lane divided highway with median and turn lanes. And at this intersection, the setback is going to be approximately 30 feet from the current right-of-way, plus easements and everything else. And what this will do is take property away from the owner's acreage, going from Phil C. Peters Road all the way down to the southern boundary of the border. Plus, there's going to be an acceleration lane for a right turn onto Avalon going south that will take up an additional amount of right-of-way, thus cutting more into the owner's land on that corner. Plus, there will be a right turn lane called for there on Phil C. Peters for people to make that right turn. And just a rough estimate based on initial survey markers put out for the road widening project studies at the corner of Sand Hill and Avalon, that's going to be a minimum of a 35-foot setback from the current limit of the asphalt going west. So taking the lot size and all of the area that's going to be taken, it's going to take approximately 3/4 to an acre of that property during the eminent domain process. So this, depending on which way you slice this property up, whether it's halfway from north to south or halfway from east to west, one of the lots is going to lose probably enough property so it doesn't even meet the 1 house per 2 acre requirement. So this needs to be taken into consideration also. So you'd have one lot that would most likely meet the requirement and one that doesn't, and that doesn't fit anything even close to what the proposed 1 to 2 is. So we need to have that taken into consideration. Thank you.
All right, the next speaker is going to be Michael Walsh.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Walsh. I live at 16065 Sand Hill Road, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. So I'm a veterinarian by occupation, and I also do my research in environmental and animal welfare, just to give you some background. We purchased our piece of this area way back before Horizons West was nothing but a plan, and saw that it was going to become something that would really change the whole relationship of Orange County, since prior to that, this was 1 house per 10 acres for that whole area. Working as partners with Orange County government, the Lake Avalon Rural Settlement was established to inject some logic and rational strategy into this area of Florida under intense development pressure at that time. As partners with the county, any change in this agreement should not really be superseded, amended, or changed without a true agreement with the representatives and the citizens of each and every rural settlement, because this will set precedents. And while it was indicated that it will not, and it's a one-time thing, we're already seeing that change happening with people seeing this going on. Shifting political and developmental environments should not replace the welfare of rural settlement or any Orange County citizens, as speculators look to flip land for profit and density. This is not a potential slippery slope, but a realistic cliff, and lot splits below 5 acres will destroy the concept of rural settlements as others attempt to shift the predominance. I guess I agree with one of the previous speakers, is it's easy sitting up there to not really see what goes on in these environments and how important these rural settlements are, and how you would feel if you were put under pressure in where you live to have something change which you know is going to affect the long-term implications of what's going on. What is really missing with rural settlements is a county responsibility as well as ours to try to inform people who buy into this area that there are limitations on growth within these rural settlements. We're not informing people, so there are realtors and people coming in, seeing what this has open, speculating on it, and then looking to watch for political change and make changes in how those rural settlements function. So what we really are doing is respectfully requesting that you recommend denial of this request and honor the commitments that Orange County has made to the citizens who live there. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Lori Forrester, who's being donated time by 5 individuals. We just need to make sure those individuals are in the room so the time can be donated. So when I call your name, could you please just raise your hand? James Terry, Mick Floyd, Pam Capers, and William Clifford, and Jacob Malherb. Yep. All right, so Lori, you'll have. Oh, okay, that's fine. So four will be donating time, so you'll have 7 minutes.
Lori Forrester, 16050 Sand Hill Road, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Yes, I know our zip. I am the president of the Lake Avalon Rural Settlement. And first of all, I want to be very, very clear. This flume change request will in fact set a precedent. It was noted that there are 1-to-1 and 1-to-2 parcels in the quote-unquote immediate area of this particular parcel. But you must understand, when our rural settlement was established, we grandfathered in whatever the parcel size was. We did not go to property owners and say, guess what, you have to buy 4 of your neighbors' properties so that you can be a 1-to-5 or whatever. These were grandfathered in. So these were pre-existing at the time we became a rural settlement. And secondly, there were so many more of our residents that really wanted to attend this hearing to communicate their opposition to this request. But unfortunately, people have jobs and they have childcare issues, and so they were unfortunately not able to attend. So those of us that were able to come, we will do our best to represent the community and what the goals of our rural settlement are. We are the most, and if I say LARS, that is the Lake Avalon Rural Settlement, and we refer to it as LARS, L-A-R-S. So if I say LARS, don't go, what is LARS? If that's what it is. We are the most rural of the rural settlements, and our mission and goal is to ensure the preservation of our community as it was agreed to and committed to by Orange County and the Board of County Commissioners when we became a rural settlement. The staff report states that a 1 dwelling unit to 2 acres is compatible with existing development in the area and would not adversely impact adjacent property owners. Well, not only is this an inaccurate statement, it's very short-sighted. This request will not only affect those adjacent property owners, but the entire rural settlement, as it will, in fact, set a dangerous precedent. Some policies that they use to justify this recommendation are really contrary to, what they had stated earlier. Flume 8.2.2 states that the continuous stretches of similar housing types and density of units shall be avoided. They also stated Flume 8.2.11 states that the compatibility may not necessarily be determined to be land use that is identical to those uses surrounding it. Again, in the presentation, thank you, Maria, nothing against you. Those were cited as reasons why this should be, where these policies state opposite. You may think that this is all about just this one parcel. and that this whole thing is about this one lot split request. But what this actually is kind of like killing us with 1,000 paper cuts. It's about the slow demise of the ruralness of our rural settlement, as it will in fact jeopardize our predominant designation and transform us more into suburbia. If you want suburbia, there's a thing called Horizons West and the city of Winter Garden. Have at it. Once the first 5-acre lot split is approved, the county's commitment that they will be selective on which properties they will consider for lot splits will never, never be a reality, ever, as long as there are attorneys and litigation. This approval will compel the county to approve every other request for fear of litigation. And I do know how adverse the county is to litigation. This will open the floodgates and for increasing the request for increased densities and flume changes. There already is one in the wings, just waiting to hear what happens on this for their request to do a 5-acre parcel and split it. Notwithstanding, LARS was established per Flume 6.3.5. The predominant designation shall be 1 to 5 to reflect the existing development patterns currently. Development patterns. Currently, right now, the property in our rural settlement that is 1 and 2 acres represents 30%, 2 to 5 acres represents 40%, and 5 acres and above is 30% of the demographics of our rural settlement. This in itself should be enough for you to deny this request, or to recommend for denial. The applicant stated in a Facebook post that, quote, "We may not even separate it and definitely won't anytime soon." So our question is, if this statement is accurate, then why even push for this flume change? Area or the history of our rural settlement, or how hard the community fights to preserve our right to live in this rural lifestyle. Honestly, I have not been on vacation for 16 years. I use my vacation days to come to public hearings, to come to county meetings. And I'm not the only one. There are so many other people, even those in this room, that have sacrificed their time and their vacation days, etc., to do this exact thing, to attend these public hearings and the county meetings to protect our rural settlements. We truly are tired of fighting to preserve what should be protected. It's exhausting, but please understand one thing. We will continue to show up to these meetings, we will continue to fight, and we will continue to try to hold Orange County accountable to what they promised. The county has already established the density and intensity of our rural settlement. We are simply asking you to keep your commitment to the integrity of maintaining the rural nature of LARS. We are respectfully requesting that you deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacob?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Jacob Malherby. I reside at 4302 Rex Drive. We also have an adjacent property on Phil C. across the road. We are sitting on 2 10-acre properties, one with a horse barn on it and one with our main residence. We came to this area because it was a horse-friendly area, an area that was rural, and we wanted our kids to grow up this way. This is not about the new applicant that just came before you. This is about the precedents that it will set for other people in the area and for developers. We are fighting developers in all directions all the time, and we can't keep doing that. You just have to go back, keep your word to the rural settlement, and that's all we ask for. We ask you to deny this motion today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roseanne?
Good afternoon. My name is Rosanna Malherbe, and I also live at 4302 Rex Drive in the Lake Avalon Rural Settlement. I stand before you today to address a matter of great concern for our community. The proposal for the 5.6-acre lot split seems innocuous at first glance, but I urge you to consider the potential long-term implications. While the applicant may claim innocent intentions, it's crucial to recognize the possibility of a slippery slope. Granting this lot split could pave the way for future commercial developments, disrupting the character of our neighborhood and jeopardizing the quality of life for its residents. Let's not be naive to the tactics at play here. It's evidence that this is merely the first step in a larger agenda. Once approved, it would not be as surprising if a petition for commercial use follows shortly thereafter. We cannot allow our community to be blindsided by such maneuvers. We must uphold the integrity of our zoning regulations and protect the interest of the people who call this settlement home. Approving this lot split would set a dangerous precedent and open floodgates for additional development. I implore you to consider the broader ramifications of your decision if approved. Let's not gamble with the future of our community. Let's stand united in preserving the charm and tranquility of our rural settlement. Thank you for your time and thoughtful consideration.
Thank you.
And then we have Will Cooper. Will Cooper. Okay, that completes my list.
Okay. Anybody else who did not fill out a speaker card and would like to address this board at this time? Okay. And I close the public section of the hearing and bring it back to the board for any comments or questions.
I just wanted to make one comment. One more slide, please. Back.
Yeah.
One more. So here you can see the subject parcel. The lot split can be accommodated so that the access is directly to Phillips Peters Road, and could be designed so it would not impact Avalon Road. The other issue that was raised that I wanted to touch on is the right-of-way requirement. This parcel is 5.6 acres in size, so there's plenty of acreage, even with the right-of-way required to meet the minimum 2-acre lot size for each of the roads. And there's a variety of ways the lot split can be done where you could still have primary access from Phil Peters Road. And finally, the last point is, and I will say that I was not particularly involved with the rural settlement discussion, but the policy does not restrict requests for future land uses, and it does acknowledge 1-to-1 and 1-to-2. I do think this could be considered as a single case because it is surrounded on 3 sides. We could go back and evaluate all the parcels that might meet this criteria, but anyway, so we were recommending support just because of the unique nature of this parcel and all the surrounding land uses. And with that, I don't know if the applicant has anything they want to respond to. Thank you.
Would you like to respond to some of the concerns?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just a few. Thank you, everybody, for the conversation. I know it is very spirited. I think the most important thing of all of the speakers today is that they have stated is that this is not about this application. None of their opposition is specifically about this. It is about specifically their worry that this is going to create momentum for future and ongoing splits and reductions and changes to commercial, and so that the rural settlement way of life is then in jeopardy. So, but I think that in doing that, the word slippery slope has come up a lot actually, but slippery slope is specifically a logical fallacy that you're supposed to avoid. So you shouldn't really use that as a point to try to dissuade, because every other change to any parcel of zoning is going to need to come before the board and is going to be weighed on the facts of each individual one. So to say that just because you're approving this one now in a specific case, you are then going to be compelled to approve other things and that's going to jeopardize their way of life, I think that is truly a slippery slope where it doesn't really hold together, where you aren't going to be compelled to do anything. You'll be able to take each thing into consideration. And there are no other 1-5s in the, RS-15s in the rural settlement that are in this very particular case, as Maria has stated, and that we are surrounded on all three sides, by this, this higher density. Those are the two main items. And then in terms of commercial, I think that maybe might have been still a holdover from when it was commercial. I don't know how it would be perceived that the lot split for residential, 2 residential uses would then pave the way for commercial also. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, now, the way, yes, you're looking to split this lot, but which is the way that you're looking to split it?
So
East-west or south-north?
So we were predominantly looking to split, well, the split line would run east-west, and so that you'd have a northern property and a southern property, one on Phil C. Peters, one Avalon. However, with the concern on the access to Avalon, I believe that we could do a flag lot that provided a driveway along the western border to allow access to the southern lot through Phil C. Peters. That's its primary access point. So you'd have a strip essentially along the western part of the northern lot, and it would allow it that way. Does that make sense?
So you're going to split it east-west, basically. So you're going to put a line in between, right in the middle of the line there, correct?
We would be drawing a line perpendicular to Avalon.
Correct.
Is that okay?
Okay.
So the nomenclature's right?
Yep,
Perfect.
correct, yes. All right. So no more commercial. Okay. All right. I'll bring it to Mr. Wiggins. Go ahead.
Well, I've had some experience with rural settlements. I live in one, Tangerine, one of the oldest in the county, and we've been very, very, very protective. I'm the chairman of the development committee for Tangerine, and I'd like to ask staff some questions, and if you could put back up the map that you just had up there with the rural settlements.
You will.
So the questions I have immediately to the, I don't know if it's the east, next to the rural settlement 1 to 2, what are those properties to the south and to the, is it to the west? Do you know
Commissioner,
what
those are
they're
all 1
doing?
to 2. Are you asking the size of the properties or the
Yeah,
future
yeah.
land use designation?
What are the size, are they in 1 to 5 density or 1 to 2?
So the designation is 1 to 2, as you can see on the screen, but, so the one that's directly south of it that fronts Avalon Road, that property is 2.19 acres. Directly to the west of the property, that parcel is 2.48 acres.
Okay. So throughout the rural settlement, there are properties that are larger than 5 acres, such as the gentleman that spoke had two 10-acre properties. So I do not see what would prevent a future purchasers of the gentleman that has the 20 acres from asking to change the rural settlement to 1 to 2. I mean, what would prevent that?
So Commissioner, there would be nothing to prevent it. Any landowner can come in and ask.
Right.
Now, this rural settlement, and Maria explained it, this rural settlement, it is a little bit unique compared to all the other rural settlements, because this one actually has a policy that says that the predominant designation should be RS 1 to 5, 1 unit per 5 acres. We actually struggle with this one a little bit from a staff perspective. We had some lengthy conversations. We're sensitive to the residents to try to keep their character of the rural settlement. In this particular instance, and we have to measure each property as they come in this particular instance, this is a pocket. So we don't see it as a spreading of RS 1 to 2. It's really more of a filling in of RS 1 to 2 in compatibility with what is surrounding it. So a 20-acre parcel, to go back to your example, they could come in and ask for it, but I don't know that staff's recommendation for approval would be there for that.
I understand. Well, from having done this for the last 47 years, we've seen every conceivable situation in our rural settlement. There's also a rural settlement alliance, which has been inactive for a while, over which I'm co-chairman. It's not a committee of Orange County, but it's a voluntary committee. We've tried to protect the rights of rural settlements in Orange County, and I agree with the residents that are opposed to this, particularly the articulate comments of the president. I was past president of our Tangerine Improvement Society for 6 years, and have stood up for protecting the densities and what comes into our rural settlement. So I would be adamantly opposed to this. Thank you.
Mr. Spears?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The rural settlements seem kind of problematic to me, but they're there. It is a commitment that the county has made. And so we need to take it seriously, this commitment to low density, and the urban service boundary does not extend into this area, which means that there's no plans and never will be any plans to extend water treatment to this area. So according to the staff report, any buildings built on this would be reliant on septic. And so is this not within a basin management plan? This is outside of a basin management plan?
It is within, but it's over the 1 acre that would require the advanced septic.
What do you mean it's over?
So the BMAP areas that require the advanced septic is for
Okay.
properties that are 1 acre or less.
All right. I'm of the strong opinion that the entirety of Orange County should be off limits to new septic. There's no scenario where this is beneficial to the county as a whole. All this does is it jeopardizes the quality of our drinking water of the Florida aquifer. Directly across the street from Avalon Road, there are rapid infiltration basins. They're called that because the water infiltrates rapidly through the sand and into our Florida aquifer. Any water that's coming out of their septic system is going to end up either in our drinking water or coming out at Rock Springs or Wekiva Springs. This is the ultimate destiny of the sewage that's going in here. Now, we have been told that if we extract a commitment of using the advanced treatment systems at this juncture of approval, that recommendation does not go forward to the Board of County Commissioners. I think that's a mistake. That's a bad policy. Also, allowing increased density that's reliant on septic is also bad policy. And so, as I have done with every such project that proposes increased density reliant on septic, I'm going to vote no on this. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Pavone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just agreeing with a lot of my two colleagues actually expressed here. The rural settlement, I don't know how long ago was established, but we as a county, we made a promise to you, right? And newcomers buy within that promise, right? So I don't think we should upset the balance of things as it is. So I'll be in favor of denying this as well.
Okay. All right, but this is on District 1, and,
I had to recuse myself.
yeah, so you can't even get involved. Can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a
Yes.
motion.
Go ahead.
Can you put up the motion that's proposed? Or is there one? Then I would make a finding of inconsistency with the comprehensive plan and do not recommend adoption of the rural settlement density change from, actually it's from 1 to 5 to 1 to 2. And as far as the future land use map designation for this entire 5.6 acre parcel.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion denied. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I believe we're ready for a lunch break before we get to our work session and public hearing for Chapter 9.
Lunch break it is. We'll be back at 1:15? 1:15 it is.